We're going to put one spring in the middle of the spring bar, so just one strong spring on, preferably in the middle setting. You want that so that you can feel your tailbone on the spring. You've got your feet on the bar, toes on the bar, heels together, and then you push the carriage from out underneath you. We're doing semicircle. Feel the tailbone hit the spring, and then you're going to lift your pelvis up, articulate through your spine, reach the knees away, press the carriage out. Keep the carriage still as you roll and articulate, and then scrape the tailbone along the spring. You breathe out to lift, breathe in to extend out, breathing out to articulate, drop the tailbone down, breathing in to return. Now reverse it. Keep the heels together, try and keep the carriage still, controlling the carriage with the back of the legs. This is a really beautiful mobility exercise for your thoracic spine. So where the bra line is against the carriage there, articulating and moving through that space is so good for your spine. So we'll do about 3 in each direction. Keeping the heels together is quite a challenge. Stretching out through the knees over the toes to get that beautiful opening in your hips. And then try and slide back in. I've got a slippery top on, so that was easy. If not, you just rock left and right to return. Pendulum with hinge. Legs are straight up, legs are in external rotation. Roll over onto one hip and then return back to the start position. Roll over onto the other hip, return back to the start position. Breathing in to roll, breathing out to return, breathing in to roll, breathing out to return. Now we're going to add in a hinge. Imprint your lower back, hinge the legs away, return the legs back up. Now, roll over onto one hip and then return pendulum. Roll over onto the other hip, return to pendulum, and then do a hinge, trying to move from the hip sockets, not from your lower back. Keep the opposite shoulder in contact with the carriage. Keep pinning the shoulders down as you lift that hip up, and then move from the hips rather than the back. Press the heels together, really squeeze the inside thighs and the heels together to activate the inside thighs. The challenge is to keep your shoulders stabilized and still as you do this exercise. Okay, now we're doing curl-ups and obliques off the edge. So turn side on and just test it out. Drop your head back. You want to be far back, but without feeling like you're going to fall off. Inhale, extend, exhale, flex. So we're articulating from around the base of the shoulder blades. The pelvis is in neutral, your tailbone is down, there's a little hollow in the lower back. Your legs are together to activate the inside thighs. We're going to do about 10 of these, focusing on the abdominals contracting as you extend back. Once again, beautiful for the thoracic spine and pretty intense for your abdominals. And then we're going to go into, so we do about 10 of those, and then we go into obliques, where you lift one shoulder blade off and then arch back. The opposite shoulder blade off and then arch back. Breathing out through a straw, breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the straw, breathing in through the nose. Keep checking into your pelvis and your lower spine. Keep the little hollow, the little arch in your lower back, using the lower abdominals to stabilize the lower back and the pelvis. So about 10 of these, 5 to each side. Keep the muscles engaged in your abdominals as you arch back. Now we're going to toe taps off. So keep your head and your chest lifted, and then you tap one toe down and then return. Only tap the toe down within a range that you can keep your lower back very still. There is a little hollow in the lower back. Your abdominals are stabilizing your pelvis and your lower back, so you're in neutral pelvis, and fantastic for your abdominals. Grab hold of the shoulder rest, swing around, set yourself up. Okay, so now we're changing the spring, 1.5 or 1 spring. You can experiment with that. If you want it strong, 1.5. If you want it a little lighter, then 1. We're about to do some abdominal work. So hundreds with a lower and a lift. Grab hold of the straps, make sure that you're lying straight, pubic bone, navel and nose all in one line. Start with the hands above your shoulders so the carriage will be away from the stopper. Knees are up in a tabletop, neutral pelvis. So you're lifting up and then hundreds. You're lowering the legs, you're lifting the legs. Lowering them on the out breath, lifting them on the in breath. You're doing about 10 of these, which is hundreds. Breathing out through the mouth, breathing in through the nose. The pelvis is in neutral. So there's a little hollow in the lower back, the tailbone is down. Your deep abdominals and your pelvic floor are stabilizing those areas. Press the feet together to activate the inside thighs and the back of the legs and reach the inside thighs away from your pubic bone. Return back to the stopper, have a little rest. Traditional coordination. So when you're ready, elbows in line with your rib cage and off the carriage, knees up into tabletop. You lift your head and your chest up, extend the arms and legs out, open and close the legs and then return. We're doing anywhere between 6 to 10 of these. Keep your pelvis in neutral. Each time you straighten your arms and your legs, you're trying to lift your forehead up just a millimeter more, and then you maintain that so that you're building the endurance in your abdominals to hold your chest up. Have a little rest. A few deep breaths, and now we're going into Nutcracker. So the start position, your thumbs and your index fingers are touching, your legs are up in external rotation. You open your legs as you lift your head and your chest up. Anywhere between 6 to 10 of these, just do what you can. Reach your hands towards the bar. Keep your legs in rotation. So you're really squeezing the kneecaps up. You're really wrapping the thighs, pressing the heels together when the legs extend up to the ceiling. Using your abdominals to press the hands into the straps. Well done. Have a little breather. And then we're going to do one last abdominal. Actually, there's 2 more. We'll do butterfly. So start position, arms and legs are up. Open your arms and legs out to the side. You're going to lift your head and your chest up, arms and legs draw into the center line. Pull your hands in towards your thigh bones. Draw your heels together. Breathing out to lift up, breathing in to return. Flex the feet, point the feet, return. Anywhere between 6 to 10 of these. Lumbopelvic stability, keeping the little hollow in the lower back and the deep abdominals stabilizing you. Have a little rest. And then we're going into oblique butterflies. So the start position, your arms and your legs are up towards the ceiling. The bed is away from the stopper so your lats are engaged. Open the legs and the arms. Now lift up, cross your left leg over your right, and then return to the start position. Then cross your right leg over your left. You reach your hands towards your top thigh, so you're rotating. You reach your hands towards your top thigh. So if your left leg is over, your right shoulder is up. If your right leg is over, your left shoulder is up. Move the hands from engaging the armpit muscles. Flex the feet, point. Breathe out through the straw, breathe in through the nose. Now you can't reach through your limbs long enough. Anywhere between 6 to 10 of those, and then have a little rest. Well done. To go into scooter with the box on the carriage, curved and flat. So you're going to grab the box and you're going to put it on the carriage, either over the shoulder rests, depending on your setup, or just against the front of the shoulder rests. Put the bar down slightly and then put your hands on the bar. Your left foot is against the box in line with your sit bone, and then your right foot is on the foot plate in line with your right sit bone. Your right shin is against the bar. That's going to help you balance slightly. And then you're pushing the carriage back and forward with the left leg, keeping the left buttocks contracted the whole time. Your spine is curved in a C shape. The supporting leg is the focus here, endurance in that right leg. Keep the right heel lifted so you're stabilizing through your ankle, And now lengthen out through a flat back. If you need to come onto your fingertips, then do that. And then pressing back and forward with the left leg, keeping the left buttocks contracted as you return. The right side super duper stable, so it's actually the right leg that will be feeling the most. Deep abdominals, keeping your spine stabilized, and lengthen through the crown of the head. Then other side, so we do about 10 on each side, anywhere between 6 to 10. Okay, so shin against the bar, you're in a curved position. I like to push the heels of my hands into the bar to help me connect to my upper powerhouse around your lower rib cage. And we want to keep the curve in your lower back as you extend the right leg back. Keep pinching the right butt cheek as you push out and in. Endurance for that left leg. And then lengthen out through a flat back. About 6 to 10 of these. If I was to poke that right buttock muscle firm, whether or not it's going out or in, and the challenge is to keep that left heel lifted and still, and the left side very still as you move and isolate the right leg. Okay, I like to curve my spine coming out of that. And then we're going to get rid of the box. We're going into moving mad minute. So take the box off. And we have one spring on. Then kneel up on the carriage, interlace your hands, press them together, and then we put the middle of the forearms, sort of the shoulder rests are around the middle of the forearm bone there. Press them against the shoulder rest. Now move your knees back, put one foot on the bar and push it away, and then hold the carriage still as you lift the other leg up. Feet are in a V position, toes apart, heels together, buttocks engaged. Push the carriage forward or return. Elbows go forward of the shoulders and then back underneath the shoulder blades. Breathing in to go, breathing out to return. Okay, lumbo-pelvic stability, pelvic floor deep, abdominals supporting you here, engaging your inside thighs and your buttocks to really lengthen out through the facet joints in your lower back. It's a great one for really loading up the deep abdominals. Bend your knees, place one knee down, return the bed into the stopper, and then place the other knee down. Fantastic. And then we're going to go into Cobra prep and reverse. This is quite a technical one, so you might want to just watch this first before you attempt it. You start with your hands shoulder width apart, C-curve, pelvis slightly lifted off the heels. Now you're going to extend out to a neutral spine, the carriage moves slightly. Keep your upper body still, press the carriage out until the thighs almost touch the carriage. Draw the bed all the way into the stopper like a figurehead on a boat. Keep the bed in at the stopper, C-curve through your spine, return to the start position. So you extend out through a neutral position, keep your upper body still, press the carriage out until the thighs almost touch. Now draw the bed in, you're going into thoracic extension. The carriage stays in at the stopper. That's the challenge here when you return to the start position. Okay, inhale, lengthen. Exhale, press out. Inhale, lift up. And then exhale, deep abdominals, keep the bed in at the stopper. We do about 3 to 4 of those and then we reverse it. Keep the bed in at the stopper, go into that extension. And then you push the carriage out until the thighs almost touch, return to a neutral spine. Now bend at the hips, draw the bed in, and then C-curve to return back into the stopper. So you're going to unravel over the bar, keeping the bed in the stopper is the challenge. Push the carriage back, stabilize through your torso, hinge at the hips, torso stability, and then draw the bed into the stopper using deep abdominals. Inhale. Exhale. Keep the arms still in space. Inhale, hinge, torso stability. Exhale, pubic bone to nose to return. We've got one spring on, so step up onto the foot plate and then put the other foot, wedge it over the edge of the carriage, and you're pushing out and in, keeping your torso straight and your legs straight, focusing on glute med and glute min, pushing the heels apart. And make sure that you're symmetrical as you push the legs apart. You don't want to have to use momentum and your torso to push the carriage out. It's the leg, the glute muscles that are pushing the legs apart. Driving through both heels to activate glute med and glute min. Keep the hips square to the front. And now we're doing skating out and in. Bend your knees, hinge forward. And then what we do is we straighten the carriage leg, then the foot bar leg, then return. So you straighten the carriage leg. Now keep the carriage still as you straighten your right leg, then return it back in. Our target area, the outside hips. Now we're going to reverse it. So do the foot plate first, keep the carriage still, push the carriage out, and then back in. Right leg, left leg, then return. Torso, pelvic stability, really controlling it with those glutes, pushing through the heels, using your tummy, not your back. And then straighten up. Other side, so step off there. Turn around if you need a little breather, then obviously take your time. Step up onto the foot plate first because the carriage is moving. And then neutral everything, you push out and in. Initiating the movement with the heels so that we get into those deep outside hip muscles. Where my hand is now, they're the muscles that you want to use. And make sure you're not using your back, you're using your tummy instead. Pushing through both heels. Don't worry about how far it goes out. Make sure that you're using the correct technique. So you're using the outside hip muscles rather than momentum in your torso and your back. Now skating out, out, in. Bend your knees, hinge forward, lift your chest up, carriage leg, then the foot bar leg, then return. Push the carriage out, keep it still, and then draw it in. Right hip muscles, left hip muscles, both hip muscles. Deep abdominals, stabilizing your lower back. Pushing through the heels will really get into those hip muscles. Then you reverse it. Foot bar, carriage, return. So you know that you're doing it right if you're not bobbing up and down with your torso. You want to keep your torso on that same plane. Like the ceiling is right down low when you're doing this exercise with the ceiling against your back. Straighten up and then hop off there. We're going to do adduction with porte. We're on a very light spring. It's a half spring now. So a half spring tension. Take the rest of them off. You might want to get a sticky mat to put on the carriage. Now you step up onto the foot plate first because it is a very light spring, and then you put your foot in the middle or thereabouts on the carriage. Neutral. Now squeeze the legs together. Push the carriage out, lift your arms up above your head, and then reach the arms back out to a T position. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze the legs together. Tap your hands onto the frame, lift up through a flat back, and again. Push the carriage out, arms go up, and then arms go out. Now the challenge here is to tap the frame and keep the carriage in at the stopper. So you've really got to use your inside thighs there. Collarbones down, mobility, and then muscle strength inside thighs. Now keep drawing your legs together as you hinge forward. Draw the legs together as you lift up. And it's quite deceiving. Keeping the bed in the carriage as you hinge forward and lift up is very challenging because the spring is very light. And then we step off there. So once again, anywhere between 6 to 10. And then step up onto the foot plate first. And then foot into the middle of the carriage. Arms are out. Push the carriage out. Inhale as the arms go up, the carriage goes out. Exhale, squeeze into the center line. Inhale, hinge forward from the hips. Exhale, lift up through a flat back, return to neutral. Again, reaching out, go for mobility here, but be safe all the way in. Now keep the bed in at the stopper so the inside thighs are drawing together. Lengthen through your spine in neutral and return. The glutes are squeezing, so your sit bones are drawing in towards one another. Keep a neutral spine, hinge forward, drop your head down, lift up through a flat back, return to neutral. Again, very strengthening for your inside thighs, which are anti-gravity muscles. They help us with our posture to lift up and out of our body. And then shift your weight onto the foot bar leg, and then off you go. Well done, guys. That was a great workout.